Paisley booth, and I'm getting ready to demo my new product line, the She Art line with them, so I'm super excited about it, so join me. You're good. Okay, so first off, I know, like, the one thing that I love about this line is it's everything that I would use. And if you're not familiar with mixed media art, then this is a great way to be introduced to it. Obviously, all of these products can be used for scrapbooking as well, but I designed them because of my love of mixed media. And mixed media can be done on way more things than just canvas. You can do them in art journals, you can do them on scrapbooking layouts, you can do them on just about anything. And my phone is going off, sorry. My husband's asking me, how's it going? But so we have a range of products. We have, probably my favorite thing are the rub-ons, because I use them religiously on my art. And then we have masks, or one mask, we would have had more, but we're hoping for that next time, which I use quite a bit with sprays, with modeling paste, with paints, and then of course the papers, and tissue paper, because it's one of my favorite things to use too. But the die cuts are probably my favorite because obviously I've been doing this for a while, so I can cut stuff out and I know how to apply it and everything, but this allows someone who's never done it before, especially people in your store, to just make a finished project like that. So we are going to make a canvas. We're going to start with, let's start with a girl. And this is just a basic 6x12 canvas. And one of the products that I love using is decoupage. That's the one. I hate to say it, but I like it better than Mod Podge, just because it seems to be less streaky and it leaves less of a film. If you've ever done this before, you probably heard me say that, you probably know. But so what I want to do is cover my canvas, and you can cover canvas with tissue paper, you can cover it with paper, you can cover it with paint. So we're going to actually use, we're going to save the tissue paper for this one. I'm just going to cover this one with canvas. And there's like no rhyme or reason to it. Oop. And I'm a really messy person, so if you are afraid to get wet or get paint on you, you might want to back up. So I just take the papers and with no, like I said, there's not a wrong or right to it, you just cover it. And the rule with Mod Podge is that, well, it's a clear base sealer. It's a water-based glue. So whenever you put a coat of Mod Podge down, you always go over the top with, you go under it and you go over it. And you're noticing I'm using the 6x12 papers, and the reason why I am is because they have the smaller print. Like, this is a smaller piece of canvas, and so I need, if I did use huge print, you'd have this huge floral right here. So that's the only reason why I like the 6x6 versus the 12x12. So we're just building layers by covering it. And Rebecca's crawling on the floor underneath me. Let's use this one. And when you're covering the background, it actually, there isn't like, you don't have to cover the whole thing completely because we're going to add paint and stuff to it. But you do want to keep in mind that whatever you're using on the background, it's going to compete with whatever you're using on top. So like this girl is really busy, the background's really busy, so we're going to take the background and we're actually going to mute it with paints and with other things. So we just have to get the canvas dry enough that there's no more, like there's no tacky to it, because once we add the paint to it, we don't want the canvas to like stick. Okay, so once that's dry, then I just want to put paint onto it. And you can use a paintbrush to use paint. I actually just use the packaging from my, well, you can use any packaging. How about we use the She Art packaging? You just want something that's hard. And the reason why I use this versus a paintbrush is because a paintbrush, well, we don't want to cover everything up. We want it to be still be able to be seen. So let's do. And I'm just going to put a little dab of paint up here in the corner. Well, that's a big dab. That's alright. And then you just take it and you're going to drag paint across it. And then you want to cover your sides with it too. And if you feel like you have too much paint on it, like right now I'm like, okay, I just totally covered up a lot of what I have. Just go in there and pull it off a little bit because it's baby white. And then you want to paint your sides too. And then when that's dry, you can actually go on and continue to add like more colors of paint and stuff onto it. I was telling these guys, I was recently in Puerto Rico, and I was teaching this to at a scrapbooking convention, and obviously these people, they'd had bad experiences with mixed media in the past. And I said, okay, I know you guys, this isn't scrapbooking, it's not what you're expecting. I said, but just give me 2 hours of your time, and at the end of it, if you don't like it, not offended, don't have to do it ever again. And I did not have one person out of the 250 people that didn't absolutely love it. So I know this is it's just a fun thing to do. Okay, so once we have this on, at this point is when I would actually start to add more texture. And with texture, I use stamps and I use rub-ons, and I also use household items. And I don't have my stamps. I thought they'd be here, but they're not yet. But I do have. I did bring Punchinella, so that's a good thing. So we're gonna come in here. We're just gonna add some color here and there, and then we can actually add the rub-ons too, because they have the texture on them as well. And the one thing with mixed media, with rub-ons, when you're doing scrapbooking, a lot of people want the rub-ons to come off perfect, the same with stamps. But in mixed media, it's completely opposite. You don't want it to be perfect. You want it to just totally come off where it comes off. You don't want, and my thing's not dry enough yet. It's pulling off. Well, you can probably dry that first. So you just want to rub, and wherever it comes off, it comes off. And then once you've got texture down, we can actually add more texture. And I am going to use, okay, there's a lot of different things that you can use with the mask. And probably the one thing that most people are familiar with is sprays, which are out there right now. There's Super Calico, there's Rangers, Perfect Pearls. The one thing to know about sprays is that everything in mixed media needs to be permanent, and because Mod Podge is water soluble, most sprays out on the market are not water soluble. They are water soluble as well, so they're not permanent. The only sprays that I know of that are permanent are the Perfect Pearls, and I'm guessing probably the Glimmer Mist. But the thing with that is that they're not color. It's actually just a misty spray that gets like a glittery spray. It's not color. So if you want to use actual color, like say I was going to just use this on a piece of paper, and let's just use it on the back of here. Now let's use a non-permanent one. What I would do is, because this is not going to be permanent, even when it's dry, I would dry it first. And see how cute that is. Love it. That's my favorite. But in order to make it permanent, if I were going to take Mod Podge right at this point, or decoupage or whatever, and stick it right on there, it's actually going to smear because it's water-based, so it will begin to smear. But if you just go in and dab it on like this, then it actually just seals it in and it doesn't smear. So that's how to use a non-permanent spray with Mod Podge. But I'm going to use modeling paste actually. So I'm just going to put some modeling paste on here, and actually you probably should use a paintbrush, not your finger, but that's what I do. So, and let's use red. You just put a teeny bit of paint in here. And you can mix the color to whatever you want to do. Making a mess. Oh, I just got that all there. This is how I am at home. Look at this. This is Christy in real life. Okay, we'll pull that out. And then what you do is you take the stencil and stick it on your canvas. And I want to get all of that off there first. Questions? And then you're just going to take the modeling paste and rub it across the stencil. And then when you pull it off, you have this gorgeous, oh my gosh, design onto your canvas. Hey! So that's why I love about modeling paste, is because it's dimensional, where spray isn't. But I use both. I use spray and modeling paste. So once that's dry, and with modeling paste it just takes a little bit longer to dry than for me, actually, like at this point, if I were to put some stamps on it, I could stick a word on this. I could take like chipboard letters, put a word on this and some flowers, and I actually think it's a really gorgeous piece of art already. It doesn't need like anything else. We're gonna put a girl on her on this canvas, but you could also go in and put, and we'll do it on this one later, but you could put a house scene with flowers, all sorts of stuff. And notice how I pulled the paper up there? I'm not even worried about it. Don't even care, because we're gonna cover it. There's gonna be stuff on it, so. Okay, now at this point when I teach my workshops, like I was talking before, normally at this point you would cut the girl out, I would teach you how to do the hair, all this kind of stuff, but for people that are in your store, this is an easy way for them just to make it right then and there. So all they have to do now is put a coat of Mod Podge onto the canvas. And then you put the girl right on there, and we'll off-center her a little bit. And then you go over the coat with it. She's sprayed it with pink. Okay. Used it, and it's just around the edges. Right. And then at this point, you could call it done, but for me, I feel like she looks like a piece of paper on canvas. We want her to look like she's part of the canvas. So we are going to add some more steps to her to do this. And actually, let's add some flowers to her too. Okay, so now what I would come in and do, like I said before, if I was actually getting her done, I would paint her hair, I would do all this stuff. But I want to come in and add some of the smaller details to really like make her look like she's part of the canvas. So you can do this with paint, if you're an artist and you know how to work with paints, but I just use the Faber-Castell pens, and I'm going to shade it. The thing about these pens is that they are permanent, but they are also liquid. So when I go to put them onto the canvas, they will stay wet for probably about 45 seconds, and I'll be able to move them around, but once they're dry, they're permanent. And there actually isn't another pen on the market that's like that. Copy markers are not like that. They are alcohol-based, and when you put Mod Podge over the top of them, they will run. So this is why I love these. The one thing to know though, and I'll show you this right here, if I were to take this pen and put this on a piece of paper, once it's dry, I cannot move it at all. Now, because this has Mod Podge on it, this is a porous surface, so it's going to suck all that ink right in. This has Mod Podge on it, so it's become a non-porous surface. So now, when I put the ink on here, like I want to shade her legs, I can still move this around and shade it. So I just come right in here, around all the different parts of her, and I'm just gonna shade. And the purpose of shading is, for me, it makes it look like she's obviously been painted on instead of just a piece of paper that's been put on to the canvas. But it also creates dimension and texture. And like for her skirt, I could go in and do every little section of her skirt with different colors. Then what I'll probably do is just do the whole entire thing in a brown, just to kind of outline her a little bit. And you definitely want to come in and add some of that to her hair to give her, just to make it look more painted on. I also am going to shade her face just a teeny bit. Not too much because you don't want to give her a beard. It's not a good look. But see how when I start to add that pen in there, how it makes it look like it's not paper anymore. It looks like it's part of the canvas. And then after this point, we gotta do this. We want to come in and add even more texture. And this is where the rub-ons again come into play. One of the things that I love to do most is add my own handwriting onto my canvas. It's kind of like, I look at it as it's my signature and it's my way to put me onto the art. So I will come in here and I will sketch all the way around her.
What kind of pen are you using?
This is a Permaball Pilot pen, which actually has been discontinued by the manufacturer. So I called the manufacturer and I said, listen, I have to have this pen. All my people use it in my classes. So they agreed to let me actually purchase it. I had to buy like 2,000 of them, which is fine, but and there is another pen out there. It's the Sharpie. The reason why this works versus a Sharpie is a felt tip pen. Mod Podge is wet, paint's wet, everything's wet. If you take a felt tip and you go through any part of it, see like right here it's still wet, it would ruin, if I were to do that, it would ruin my pen completely and it's gone. This is a ballpoint, so I just take it and it works again. So that's why these work. Sharpie just came out with a ballpoint pen that actually is permanent and works. So that's a good thing. So I'm just gonna come in here and add little touches. But not everyone is a doodler, and so sometimes you get people in classes that aren't gonna be comfortable with, you know, adding their own like stuff onto the canvas. So that's why these rub-ons are great. Because you can come in and you can add all of that without having to be like, have all those perfect things. So I would just come in here and add like the rub-ons. And again, I don't want them to be perfect. I don't want them to come off all the way. I'm gonna add doodle up here. Maybe I'll come down here and add this to her skirt. We just want like pieces of it. And I'm gonna put it into here. Paste came off, that's just fine. I like to put little doodles on their face, so I'm gonna come in here and put some on her face. So we're just adding, and then we can come back in here with the other rub-on too. Thank you. And add even more texture over her. We're just adding, because it just gives more and more and more dimension to the whole thing. Layers and layers and layers. And then on these little cards, we have these little words. I put words on everything that I do because everything has meaning. So we are going to put this on there. exact same thing with these words as I do with everything else. She left her fears. She left her fears behind her. So once this is dry, I'm going to come back in and I'm going to shade all of that too, because I need the whole thing to have like this same kind of like look and feel. Actually, let's shade.
Then we want to see your hands when you're done.
Oh yeah, these are my hands. Not good.
Because they're art too.
Come in here and just shade those in. And I'm going to add a little bit of pen into. My Mod Podge is still wet, so let's just do it with the rub-ons. Just want to look like they're part of the canvas. Everything wants to be part of the canvas. So. And then you also want to make sure you do stuff on the sides. And like I said, like I have a line of stamps with Unity. I would come in here with my stamps and I would completely texture this up. But basically, I mean, I don't know how long that took me, but you have a finished canvas in absolutely no time. And it's just something that your people at your store can do, because these die kits really are the things that make it happen. So super easy, super fast. Rub-ons have always had a bad name, and now they don't anymore because it doesn't matter if they work or if they don't work. I mean, properly, then we know that it's good.